Hello everyone, this is Jace bringing you more DFFOO audio commentary. This is Dimensions and Transcendence Reprise number 5, again. But this time I'm going with the old school run, that's using the exact comp that I used when the content was current. This is for Transcendence Tier 11, and the comp that I used was Machina, Llyud, and Garnet. So this isn't going to be exactly the same, since technically Garnet's gotten a rework since then, so she's not exactly the same character. Machina's gotten an FR, but we're actually going to be using Llyud's FR as main, and we're not going to be using any echoes throughout the run. So it's going to be as close to the exact same comp that I used as I could get. I can briefly go over the mechanics of this boss. So these guys hit actually decently hard. It's weird. I'm always a little bit caught off guard when we need to be a little bit concerned when the enemy actually gets a turn, but it's good. It makes me respect these enemies a little bit, at least with this comp. If I used a modern comp, I probably wouldn't respect them so much. But anyway, they deal an AoE Brave attack with multiple Brave hits in it, so that's actually pretty decent. And they have what I think is a Brave plus HP attack just in their normal rotation, which is great. Again, I should be at least a little bit scared when the enemy gets a turn. In terms of their force gauge, at 20%, they inflict a few debuffs. I think it's just attack down, defense down, and Brave damage taken up. At 50%, they start to absorb any damage that doesn't have an element attached to it. So in this team, we're going to be addressing that with Garnet, who enchants us with water and thunder. When their force gauge hits 70%, they will inflict paralysis on our party. We'll be addressing that with a well-placed Llyud LD call, which prevents the enemy from debuffing us. Because if I'm not mistaken, they are guaranteed hit debuffs. So I don't know if a Lena call will work or if Aerith will work or anything like that, but I do know that a Llyud LD call will work. And then when their force gauge hits 80%, they apply a debuff called Stop, which I believe just stops your EX gauge from increasing, and also is a speed down. What we're doing here is we have enough force enhancement to just beat them in terms of charging our gauge, so we're already at 90%. We've activated Machina's BT effect, just activated Garnet's, and we're going to be able to go into our force time before their force gauge fills up. The other two calls I brought were Sid Reigns for Machina, because we'll be going into Machina's burst phase, and as you just saw, a Seymour call, and that combined with the Llyud LD call is just going to give us a little bit of wiggle room to make sure that the enemies don't get 2 turns before their force gauge hits 70%, which, as you can see, it didn't. Man, I remember when Llyud's FR came out, I was actually quite excited about it because I didn't start playing the game until after Llyud was released, so this is my first chance getting to use him, and I thought his force time conditions were pretty easy to meet. 60% at the time was actually quite respectable for somebody who, well, didn't pull for Camlanot, which I still don't regret. But here we are in our force time, and we have everything set up pretty well in a turn order that's going to work for us. The plan is for us to go into Machina's burst phase. With Garnet on the team, we have her BT effect active, which means that the party is going to gain Brave after every turn based on the amount of HP damage that we've dealt. So all of our party members should always be able to use HP attacks while they are in the air. So that is going to increase our damage a decent amount. For those who aren't familiar with Machina's kit, when his burst effect is active, as long as he also has the Awakening buff active, his HP attack turns into what used to be an extremely powerful 7 single target HP attack ability, and he also has a follow-up as long as the enemy is afflicted with the Spiral's Linchpin debuff. I believe that's what it's called. But he has a 2 split AoE HP attack follow-up, but it's also a trap. So whenever the enemy takes a turn, he performs that follow-up, or I guess trap attack. But when he takes a turn and attacks an enemy that has that debuff, he'll perform that follow-up as well. So he's a very versatile unit. The issue is he's honestly outdated. he was bonkers strong for a very sizable part of Shinryu, but he doesn't have Force Echo. He's gotten his level 50 Force Enhancements, or FE50, in the Japanese version of the game, but they didn't really update anything else in his kit. They just gave him FE50. So he still to this day hasn't gotten a rework in JP, but honestly, he had a lot of time to shine, so I can't really blame the developers for not updating Machina's kit. So with this BT phase, and this team being as outdated as it is, we're really making the boss look like it has more HP than it does. Any modern team would just blow this thing up, no problem. But I remember when this was current, this felt like a very strong team. This felt like I was absolutely obliterating the boss. And obviously it worked, otherwise I wouldn't be running this comp again. But it's kind of wild to look at this and see that, there's 3 turns of force time left, and we're only at 504% as opposed to 999 already. But again, like I said, once upon a time, this was a good amount of force gauge percentage. It's just kind of wild to think about. Honestly, Llyud, I feel like a lot of people don't really know who he is. I honestly didn't know who he was without looking him up, but he's from Final Fantasy 12, one of the, I think it's like a Game Boy Advance spin-off or something. He seemed like such a cool character in DFFOO, and I'm still glad that I pulled for him. I enjoyed using him when he was current, but just so many people didn't really know who he was. And I think that honestly played into a lot of people kind of talking down his FR when it was first released, because I thought it was a fantastic FR with very easy conditions to meet. But hey, I don't know. But that actually brings us to another mechanic of this boss. At a lot of their thresholds that you can see on their HP bar, they'll use this ability here, Needle Shower. And this is an HP gravity attack, meaning that it's always going to reduce your HP to a certain percentage or by a certain percentage, pretty much no matter what. So in this case, it reduces your HP to 20% of whatever you have, but it can't kill you. So as you can see, our HP is quite low. We use the Brothers Summon here not to do damage, as you can see, but just to make sure that they aren't going to get a turn anytime soon with our HP being so low. And we're going to be using plenty of abilities here to heal up. This is going to deal a decent chunk of damage. And we're also going to get the launch, as you can see. But now the name of the game is making sure we can top ourselves off again to make sure we hit the HP requirement. But we're also going to try and kill these enemies before we're out of summon, because we do not want them to get their force time. That would be very bad. If they get their force time, we're going to have to cancel it with Garnets, and I'm trying to make this as close to a representative run of what we would have had at the time that Tier 11 came out. So we really, really don't want to do that. Now there's one thing that I end up doing that is not consistent with what characters we had at the time. If I recall correctly, Garnet only had 3 uses of her LD when this stage was current. And this is unfortunate, but I ended up using, I think, that extra LD usage that she gained when she got her Echo, her most recent rework. So technically, it could be argued that it's not exactly the same, but whatever, who cares? This is all for fun. Actually, wait. Oh, wait, no, I don't end up using it. Oh, score! Oh, man, I totally forgot that that's how this fight ended. It's a little bit of style points. Anyway, that's the run. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I plan to keep making more videos, and until next time, I'll catch you later.